I have a rant that I want to go on.
One more rant, everyone.
As well as Eric. And you can bring up the slides
Yes.
real quick, Eric. So go to the previous slide if you could.
Oop.
Not that
one.
slide.
Guys, I'm not doing this.
So last Sunday after we recorded, we talked about a little bit of, some of the way that baseball is being played nowadays. And last Sunday, Trey Turner won the batting title for the National League. He did so with a 304 average, which is the lowest average in the history of the National League to win the batting title. The previous lowest average was 313 by Tony Gwynn in one of the years that he won the batting title of the 50 times he won.
According to your grandfather, he won it like 19 times in a row. So
exactly. Some people have been, and so Trey Turner was talking about this, and someone asked him about the fact that it's the lowest batting average to win the batting title in the National League. And he said, quote, "Everyone throws 100 miles per hour. Everyone has 6 pitches. Nobody knows where the ball's going. Defenses are way better than they've ever been." Which that's something that I've been feeling for the last couple years. That, like, yes, pitchers are better, defenses are better. Like, it's really hard to do that. And,
I'll
Trey
even
Turner,
add to that,
who's
scouting reports are significantly better.
Go ahead. Scouting reports, absolutely. And, Trey Turner is someone who's out there playing the games. And I'm not. What?
Thank you.
You need your own joke.
Full circle now.
Comedy comes in threes, ladies and gentlemen. But he's out there playing the games, and he kind of gave light to something that I've been feeling recently as well. And I'm sure Trey Turner's not going to lose any sleep, over the fact that he won the title with the lowest ever batting average. But then later that night, I saw this YouTube short, and the title of this
for credit for YouTube. Cam23, he has 67,000 subscribers. Go subscribe to him. Full credit to you for the short.
He posted this short, and it's titled "Take Me Back to When Dudes Hit 300 ... And it's a compilation of a bunch of guys in the All-Star game like 15 years ago, and it has their batting average posted. And it's Hanley Ramirez and Matt Holliday and Justin Morneau and all these guys who have these high batting averages. And this made me unreasonably angry when I saw this. And part of it is there is nothing I hate more than let's go back to the good old days discourse in our society. Let's go back to the days when men were men and they hit over 300 in the season. Like, it's the same thing as like when boomers post on Facebook, remember when Christmas used to look like this, ... And it's a picture of their Christmas tree from 40 years ago and a bunch of Christmas decorations from 40 years ago.
To be fair, those aluminum trees look really good.
Aluminum trees are cool. I'll give you that much. But here's the thing. You are allowed to decorate your Christmas tree however you want. The government did not outlaw tinsel, okay? You can decorate your tree however you want. In the same way, players are allowed to hit 300, okay? There's not a rule that says if you hit above 300, someone's going to come out and shoot you. Okay? Players can hit over 300. And the fact that batting average is not emphasized anymore in today's MLB, by the way, that's not a new thing. No. Right? That's been a thing for like the past 10 years where OPS and slugging and on-base percentage and walks and all of these things are so much more emphasized today, which also, by the way, those are not new stats. Slugging percentage has existed forever. Well, on-base percentage has existed forever.
You said 10 years. We just talked about the Moneyball A's. What's like the most famous line over what does the first baseman do?
He gets on base.
That's not new. That's 2002.
Exactly. And so it just like part of it is for so long, baseball was nothing but offense, sure. Right? For 25 years, baseball was nothing but offense because from like the late 80s, I guess, offense really started picking up. And then you had the 90s, which, continued offense was getting better and better. You want to say something, Dan?
Guys were just suddenly, growing like third biceps and their foreheads were the size of Texas. How did that
I'm getting there.
Suddenly come out of nowhere and gee.
I'm getting there, Dan. Okay. Don't worry. Offense was continuing throughout the 90s, right? In 1994 happens, the strike, right? 1995, baseball comes back. Baseball realizes people want to see offense. People want to see home runs. Chicks dig the long ball, right? 1998, home run chase happens. 2001, Bonds hits 70-plus home runs. 2000s, continuing. Baseball is all about offense. 2011 hits, a pitcher wins MVP for the first time. A starting pitcher wins MVP in Justin Verlander for the first time in a long time. 2012 is the year of the pitcher. There's 3 perfect games that year. 2014, a pitcher wins MVP again. 2015, the Royals win the World Series with 3 guys who are closers in their bullpen. And little by little, pitching is getting ahead of the offense, right? And then baseball says, well, we don't like this. We don't like that pitching is ahead. So let's have a juiced ball season where we're going to break the record for most home runs hit across baseball forever. So we're going to have a 2019 season where it's all about home runs. Next, we're going to have a pandemic season. Then we're going to have a season where things are still out of whack in 2021. We're going to now introduce the pitch clock. And then we're going to make more rules.
Severely needed.
Which was needed severely. So little by little, the pitching has increased by the years, and baseball doesn't want that. Now we're finally getting good pitching and good defense, and people are upset about it. And it's like, we had nothing but offense for 30 years. Like, let's eat our broccoli and watch good pitching. It's okay.
Can I add to your point, especially within like the last 10 years? Not only has pitching, and we talked about, I think like a month ago, Dan brought this up. We talked about like pitching is farther ahead than hitting, which has been like, it's been kind of flipped. But technology and like with like Baseball Savant, you can match a spin rate. You can create a pitch in a lab, and you can basically know if it's going to work on the field. Where before it was like, let's go to spring training. I have a new grip for this. Let's see if it works against hitters. And then you have now data that can basically tell you if this is going to work or not and then you can just do picks, Mitch, and all of that good stuff. And I think, and I don't want to take your final point away, Sam, but I feel like what you're trying to say is, can we not just enjoy the game we have in front of us and not be nostalgic for whatever era you grew up in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
So,
can I push back on this a little bit?
yes.
I think,
Go ahead,
Sam,
Dan.
I think the ultimate sentiment is good, and I don't necessarily have a problem with what you're saying. But in a lot of ways, I think baseball and sports in general kind of mimic greater life, American society, whatever you want to call it. And one of the ways is the tech revolution that has occurred over the last, 25 years plus, 30 years, whatever time frame you want to put on it. Businesses in this world have immense amounts of data they never had before, and so do sports teams. And in a lot of ways, that's a good thing. In a lot of ways, it's not. Um, the number of like the number of streaming services that are out there, the granularity that's occurred in how we have to pay for entertainment is an example of that. The amount of data tracking that companies do just to sell us ads every day, so they can send you an ad that hits your demographic that matches something you maybe Googled 2 days ago, whatever the case may be. Social media, to me, is not a very good thing in general that it exists. I think it's deepened issues within our society and put people in bubbles. Now, to a much less, the stakes are different in sports, but you see it in baseball where the game, they're trying to figure out the essence of the game to the minute detail. What is the optimal way to play the sport? And what they've learned is teach these guys how to spin the ball, throw as hard as you can, and that's led to its own drawbacks. Every pitcher has to have Tommy John surgery these days. That's not ideal. That's your stars are being taken off the field because they have to have this surgery because the most optimal way to throw the baseball to be most effective is detrimental to their health. Um, Offense is down, and quite frankly, while I agree with a lot of what you're saying, it is not as aesthetically pleasing to watch a bunch of guys strike out and walk and hit home runs. It's not. That's why we got rid of the shift and all these things, and so the same kind of drawbacks that happen because of the tech revolution everywhere else. The other example would be basketball, where they figured out shots at the rim, 3-pointers. That's what we want. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
ultimately, those things in and of themselves are not problematic. But the thing that bothers me is maybe it's because I'm a Guardians fan and this is kind of coloring my perspective. But the idea that there's one way to be really good at the sport
Right.
is not good for the sport. That to me is that if you want to win, you hear the stat now in the playoffs. Well, the team that hits more home runs in the playoffs, this game is going to end up winning 80% of the time. To me, there needs to be multiple ways to be good and multiple ways to be successful. And I think we've gotten better with some of the rule changes. But I just think that the guy's not hitting 300 is a symptom of that. And the complaints that come with that are a symptom of
Right.
that.
It's like the meta of how a
Yes.
lot of competitive games where I don't have an example because I don't really play these types of games that much, but multiplayer battle games where everyone is playing this character, and so you counter that by playing this other character, and then it shifts into where everyone's playing this other character, so you counter that by and that kind of thing. So it's kind of
It's not
the back
fun.
and forth.
It's not fun to play the guy on Madden who runs 4 verticals every play, and it's even less fun, I imagine, to watch that.
And then you have 2005 Michael Vick, who in Madden, who is just like unstoppable.
Incredible.
You find the loophole and you find the thing that works every time.
Yep.
It's cool. It works every time. It's boring after a certain point.
Can I kind of and I may be taking too much on my shoulders, so you guys tell me if I'm full of crap or not after. But I feel like what Sam was saying to start all of this, there's like a worry, whether it's in baseball or basketball or football, that once you get enough data, you have solved the sport. That the excitingness, like the excitement of the sport, can be solved by a spreadsheet. And there is this, and I'm not very good, but I play a lot of chess, like online. And the same thing. Like there are chess engines or computers that are so much better than human beings will ever be. And I mean by multiples. The best player in the world is Magnus Carlsen. He will get destroyed 10 times out of 10 by a chess engine. And there's this worry that a team, let's say the Dodgers, will find that formula and they will win for an eternity. And that's when you're basing on human performance, you're worried about, like when you're talking about human performance, that's never going to actually be the thing. The game is going to evolve. And yes, the NBA, it's 3 and D, not even D anymore. It's three pointers and it's dunks. And if you don't do anything at the mid-range game, unless you're incredibly good at it, there's no reason in trying. So then you're going to have, like, talk about baseball. If you do not hit 330, there's no reason that you shouldn't be hitting 30, trying to hit 30 home runs. So then a Luis Ariz doesn't mean as much, especially when you have a Tarek Skubal, who you can basically, I don't want to say create in a lab, but it's easier to advance pitching more than hitting. But Dan, you raise your hand. I'll shut up.
Yeah, and actually, I'm going to talk about both sides of my mouth now, because in the NBA, I think all those things are true. But ultimately, guys that are good at mid-range still shoot mid-range and are very effective. So there is nuance there. But the problem is perception.
Right.
And baseball has had a horrible perception amongst casual people for a long time that it is drab and boring and uninteresting and all, and for old people and all this stuff. Perception matters. And so having more things for people to complain about is not ideal. And so I just wanted to add that even you can fix your sport, you could have it be better, you could do all these things. If the perception is still that this is watching paint dry, then you're what did you accomplish?
We still had a guy in MLB this year who hit 60 home runs.
Yeah. We've got another guy who went out and pitched a playoff game last night, and what was his OPS this year? It was very high, right?
We had a guy with 50, we had a guy with 56 home runs strike out a guy with 55 home runs, or maybe
yes,
exactly. It's like just because we're not seeing guys hit 350 and win the batting title anymore doesn't mean that there isn't excitement to be had in the game of baseball.
Right. That I agree with. And to go on that too, like I think kind of what your argument too is saying, and it's saying if I'm taking too many liberties with your with what you're trying to say, please tell me to shut up. But like, there is a point when you're such at like an extreme, we're such like at an extreme home run and strikeout era that eventually you want to like, that pendulum is going to swing back. So like we're such at an extreme of home runs, strikeouts that we've solved the game, right? Like you want as much OPS as you can. That's eventually going to swing back, and you're starting to see that. Like MLB is starting to tweak the rules so that you can steal more bases. At some point, there's going to be a break when so many pitchers are on the IL. And yes, right now it is such a velocity is such a monster in the game right now, whether you're talking about pitching or exit velocity, that there's underappreciated talents in the game. The Guardians are a good example. Speed and defense, you can't measure that easily for the impact of the game. It impacts, but it's a little underrated. And we're trying to find that balance. And at some point, it's going to swing the other way.
The only argument I'm trying to make is that stuff, that other ancillary stuff, has to be a little bit more impactful in order to make the game what I'm trying to envision, which is there's not one way to be successful.
Right.
We need to figure out what combination of things. And, I lamented Stephen Vogt's bullpen decision-making in this episode. And I think that's a really good example of what you're talking about, Eric, where maybe pitchers are going to have to pitch 3 times through the order in playoff games so that you're not sending Hunter Gaddis out there for the 7th time in 17 days. That is a way in which, maybe we can't have all these guys coming out in inning 1 and throwing 100 because we need them to throw more innings. And I'm hoping that'll become a thing. I'm hoping strategy will change a little bit of that. One thing for me, people get upset about the juice ball and the not juice ball and this ball and that ball. I think it would be interesting if the league every year just changed the ball.
The
You don't
thing
know
is,
what ball they're playing with.
it's very
I don't know
difficult to actually control for that because it's stuff like the laces are slightly tighter, or like the leather is cured for this amount, or it's all these really minute things that are not entirely controllable.
I want the ball to be unpredictable. I don't want people to be able to utilize meta because they don't know what ball they're playing with. Now, it has to have certain, for safety, it needs to have certain, the springiness of the ball I want to vary, either by year or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. And I think my biggest problem with this is just the kind of attitude of let's go back to the good old days, which I just like I think is such kind of a microcosm of society right now. And not to be political, but let me be political. When you have our top military official get up on stage and say, "Hey guys, let's go back to the good old
and
days."
no fatties.
Like that. Exactly. No fatties in baseball. No fat.
That's not true.
That's a bigger,
Have you seen Alejandro Kirk?
That's not going to happen. But it's like it's this attitude that we all, and this is not specific to today. Like I think today we kind of have a little bit more of this going on, but this is something that's existed forever. Of this attitude of let's go back to the good old days, guys.
Also, not for,
I just like. I
agree with you, and kind of for the and like Sam, you're what, in your upper 20s. I'm now 37 years old, so I'm about a decade older than you. Part of the good old days, people are
don't add those extra 3 years, Eric.
But like people talk about those good old days. Like I watched those good old days. It wasn't all fun. Like Terry Tiffey batting second for the Twins. I could probably never see that again. Like, that's fine. Like, not everything was great. You're looking at it through rose-colored glasses. But don't pretend
you were a kid,
that it wasn't like that it also wasn't flawed. That like we talked about at the start of this episode, like a sacrifice bunt is basically a worthless play in baseball. And that has been escalated to like now sabermetricians tell you never to bunt. No, there's times to bunt, but you took it to an extreme that it made it not an appealing option or not like a good option to do. And like, we don't need to, like, I'm nostalgic too. Like, I love 90s wrestling. Give me some Stone Cold. I have tattoos because I saw The Undertaker in 1998 and I thought he was the best thing ever.
Eric, you know that's
How
fake,
dare
right?
you, sir? How dare you? The Undertaker has an urn, which is real, and there's real dead body parts in there. How dare you? It gives him power. Anyway, I think this is really near our longest episode. Unless anybody has any, and I'm going to wrap this up pretty quick. But does anybody have any closing arguments? Sam, you brought up this topic. It was a really good topic. Do you have any closing thoughts on it?
No, I just it's okay that guys don't hit for a high batting.
I have one more thought. I apologize. I'm sorry.
Yes.
You can still watch baseball.
Pitchers need to be the stars of the sport. Let's lean. If we're going to go this way, there's other ways to create entertainment. The one guy who can control a game the way that a quarterback could in the NFL or whoever else is the pitcher. That is going to require two things. These guys have to be healthy. They got to pitch deeper into ball games. I feel like I've used this as a venue to try to fix the game the way Dan wants to fix the game, so I apologize for that. But to me, let's embrace this then, and let's make pitchers the stars.
I will agree with that. I will half agree with that. MLB needs to do a better job of creating stars because Mike Trout has been a superstar for 15 years. He's on the back end, but like Mike Trout should have been the face of baseball and a much bigger deal than he was. He was a generational talent. And I think if you were going to look back, like his impact on sports in general, like not just baseball, but in general, is probably much smaller than previous baseball generations. So whoever you deem as the stars, pitchers, Aaron Judge, a Yankee, a Dodger, a Twin, a Guardian, a Royal, whatever. Market your players in a way that makes them stars. And that's what I will agree with.
This is not the time, but we need to have a deeper conversation about that.
Right. And that's an off-season subject.
I get frustrated with that sentiment sometimes. Not the sentiment in and of itself, but the details of it. Sorry. Go ahead.
Anyway, well, that will be our teaser because we have a whole offseason to talk about. Right now, there's one team alive.
One last thing. I'm going to go around. Everyone's going to say their World Series prediction.
Okay.
All right.
Eric?
If this helps you...
who we want or who we think?
Your prediction. What your prediction for the World Series is.
Fuck it. Go get
it,
them, Tigers.
Toronto is currently up 11-0 in the 5th inning. Ooh. So...
Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on that series.
Go for the Tigers. Go do it. I'm all in. Tigers.
Who are they going to beat?
Phillies.
Okay, Tigers over Phillies. Lee?
My prediction is Blue Jays over Brewers.
Okay. I'm going to say the opposite. Brewers over Jays.
I've got Mariners over Cubs in 6, and you can read more about it on pickupsportstalksilly.com if you so desire.
We'll put a link in the comments.
Oh.
I'm gonna add one last plug. I'm almost most of the way through this book. It's called The Game by John Pessa. If you enjoyed the last 20 minutes of this episode, talking about the 90s and the 2000s, this is a really good book. The Game by John Pessa. It's really long, but god damn it if it isn't one of the best baseball books I've ever read. I'll leave it at that with a cheap plug. But with that, thank you all. If you have made it 2 hours and 25 minutes, thank you. You're the best. We appreciate you always. We're probably going to break this episode up into, probably 2 places on YouTube, but hopefully this commute killed a commute for you, and this wasn't just a long ramble. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We appreciate you. We'll see you next week.